We're at Monkstown Castle, built, we believe, in the 14th century by the monks of St Mary's Abbey. St Mary's Abbey, the wealthiest abbey in Ireland at the time, was located in Abbey, well, where Abbey Street is nowadays, on the North Quays of Dublin. And the abbey owned Monkstown. It was a Cistercian abbey associated with the Normans. They were the primary stock breeders and the agricultural experts of their day. So the land and the farm were very prosperous. The castle was built to defend the property against the attacks of the native Irish. Now, Monkstown Castle was it's at the very heart of social and political life in Monkstown in South Dublin for centuries. And it was a witness to many events in Irish history. A particular example would be during the Cromwellian plantation. Walter Cheevers, the Catholic owner of Monkstown Castle, was evicted and expelled, as the saying went at the time, to hell or to Connacht. On the 18th of December 1653, the family records show that Walter Cheevers, his 5 children and his wife, 10 servants, and some of their retainers, some of their tenants, along with animals, crossed Ireland on foot, and they established themselves near Montbellew in East Galway, where the family retained the property for many centuries subsequently. The castle was restored at the time of the restoration, and Walter Cheevers lived here before eventually passing it on. In the early 19th century, the castle was the property of Thomas Pym, who lived locally, and he offered the castle and its grounds for use as Dublin Zoo. Can you imagine elephants and giraffes in Monkstown? We're now going to take a look inside the castle. Very little of the original castle remains, and indeed the building was much altered over the centuries. It's questionable whether in fact any of what we see today is entirely original. The gatehouse and the tower directly in front of me here are probably the oldest parts of the castle and date from 15th, 16th centuries believed. The battlements are distinctive and they're associated with the Irish style. You'll also notice here and there along in the wall of the tower are small openings that have been blocked up. It's suggested that some of these may have come, these formations, these window openings may have been transplanted from another building long since lost. The castle was much more extensive. There would have been a large surrounding bawn where people gathered and animals gathered at a time of attack. Right through to the 19th century, there would have been a 3rd tower with ornamental gardens and a large pond. All medieval castles obviously had to have a water supply readily available. It was a prerequisite for design. The stream that would have supplied is now culverted, but it was, if you like, used to create a pond, which might have been used for fish fowl, as well as being an ornamental feature much later. Indeed, that stream of Monkstown is probably the most significant and important natural feature in the area. People don't notice it, but it was the basis for establishing the castle here. It was the estuary which enabled the monks to arrive and to establish a little monastery where Carrickbrennan graveyard is now. And ultimately, during the 19th century, that estuary was a place where the harbour was built in Dún Laoghaire. Of course, we mustn't forget that the Dún of Laoghaire was also established at that estuary. So the stream, forgotten, unseen, is of enormous significance.